I saw a study the other day that said most young people, teenagers, 16, 17, 18, have less, on average, have less than one good friend. They got tens of thousands of likes and clicks and followers, but they have less than one good friend on average. And that's what I mean by the soul of America. What's made us a great shining example on the hill that everybody wants to come be part of is eroding, because we're not interacting anymore. We're not embracing those values anymore. And I want people to get back to that.
Talking about a whole bunch of things that I focus on this show. I mean, social media, it was supposed to make us more social, and it actually made us more anti-social. But the truth is, everyone watching this right now either has this thing in their pocket or they're watching on this thing. So what do you do to fight that? Because I'm not anti-technology either, but this thing has become so ubiquitous in society and broken so many brains that it seems like we are unable to deal with it, I suppose, in a mature way, even as you and I as adults, much less the 15-year-old that's handed the world and said, okay, have at it.
Yeah. And look, I'm glad there's technology. I mean, but we got to start using it rather than abusing it. Kids don't even know what a library anymore, what it is anymore. It's a big building with books in it, for those that don't know. Because you can go on Google or these search engines and instantly you can pull something up. But what they don't know is that everything they read on Google is not necessarily correct.
Yeah.
Because nobody's vetting that stuff. And you can, and let me tell you, it's getting ready to get a hell of a lot worse, because this AI and deep fakes, I saw an ad the other day of me selling some product, and it was me talking in my voice with my countenance, and I've never heard of this product. I don't know what it is, never heard of it, but yet it was me in my voice talking. What's going to happen with the election coming up? When it gets too late to be rebutted, I think we're going to see candidates saying crazy things, making admissions that they're not really making, changing positions they're not really changing, in enough time to get to the voters, but not in enough time for them to say, hey, that's not me. I think we're moving into a dangerous, dangerous time, because AI and deep fakes are going to have a lot of misuse. So I think we've just got to inspire people to start becoming more critical thinkers, verifying things through known outlets, and that's going to take a whole effort to get people to start thinking differently and acting differently. And that's one of the things that I'm talking about. And think about how much things have changed since I started. When I started doing the Dr. Phil show, not even just when I started Oprah, when I started doing the Dr. Phil show, the first text message had never been sent. Never been. There were no social media platforms.
Yeah.
The internet was not ubiquitous, and then I had to start adapting to that, because cyberbullying didn't exist, and all of a sudden I had to start figuring out, how do we inoculate kids to cyberbullying? I've had to go before Congress and testify about adding funds to the Elementary and Secondary Education Act to deal with cyberbullying, because kids were hanging themselves in their closets back in their bedroom because they couldn't escape the bullies the way you used to when you could at least go home and be safe. So everything is changing across time, and somebody's got to talk about this. I did a show last week about sextortion, because young men are getting suckered into sending nude photos to what they think is some young girl that they have never had an interaction with, sends them what they think is a nude photo. So they say, well, I'm not going to blow this. They send one back, and boom, somebody says, hey, I'm not a 14-year-old naked girl.
Right.
But now I've got your picture, and you pay me $10,000, $25,000, or I'm sending your picture to your parents, your pastor, everybody in your contact list. I've got your school yearbook. I'm going to humiliate you if you don't pay. And some of these kids immediately commit suicide because they're so humiliated.
To some extent, do you miss the old days of doing the show and dealing with problems that were a little more granular, or at least a little more connected with people in their own body, their own problems, their own families, kind of the simple stuff before, say, that 2008, 2009 threshold?
You know, it was a simpler time, but I'll tell you what, I certainly don't get bored, because about the time I think, man, I've seen it all, I open up a show book and go, no, I haven't, because they're very creative. And now, as I say, I'm going to have to figure out how to deal. I talked to a woman yesterday on the show that was in a love scam and spent several $100,000. And I said, you know, tell me how they conned you on this. And she said, I actually spoke to him. And I said, well, I understand. She said, no, you don't understand. I'm talking live on Skype. I actually talked, and it was a deep fake. They had stolen some good-looking guy's information off of Facebook and created a deep fake, and she was actually speaking to the guy. I mean, who wouldn't fall for it? And it was an elderly woman, lonely, husband had died, and you know, here's somebody that says, oh, hey, I love you, baby. Help me get home, and we'll be rich together. And sure enough, took her for every penny she had.
So you have two words in the title of the book, or in the subtitle actually, that I use on this show all the time: soul and sanity. And I always tell people it seems like we're more in a spiritual battle at the moment than a political battle. Everyone thinks it's a political battle between these two old timers. I don't really think that is what it's about. It's about that sort of loss of truth and what the algorithms have done to us and the confusion over social media. But can you talk about those two words a little bit, soul and sanity? What does soul mean to you first?
Well, I'll have to say what it doesn't mean, and I don't talk politics, and I'll tell you why. I don't know a damn thing about it. Well,
that doesn't stop anybody on CNN. Come on.
I just started to say, I think most of the people that talk about it don't know a damn thing about it either. At least I'm honest about it.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about politics, and I'm not being, that's not false humility. I really don't know anything about politics. I can read a bill like anybody else, and most people don't read the bills they talk about either. But I really don't want to bog myself down in the geopolitical aspects of what's going on. I don't want to get into the gridlock of Washington. I think what I'm focused on are the cultural issues. Mm-hmm. And it's the culture that determines the outcome of a society. And somebody much smarter than I said that probably over 100 years ago. And that's what I'm interested in. And when I say the soul of America, I'm talking about the real core of what defines this country, the core values that we don't think about every day, but are at the center of what defines America. The morality, the North Star that drives us in the direction that we've been driven for 250 years. And I think the backbone of America is the family unit. And it's under attack. Some of it's unintended consequences by this technology we've been talking about, where nobody has dinner together anymore, and if they're in a car riding together, they're all on their phones or video games or whatever, instead of talking to each other and learning each other. I saw a study the other day that said most young people, teenagers, 16, 17, 18, on average, have less than one good friend. They got tens of thousands of likes and clicks and followers, but they have less than one good friend on average. And that's what I mean by the soul of America. What's made us a great shining example on the hill that everybody wants to come be part of is eroding, because we're not interacting anymore. We're not embracing those values anymore. And I want people to get back to that. And the sanity is, look, in this book, I'll send you a copy of it, and maybe on a long flight you can look at it somewhere. But I think we're under attack from what I call the tyranny of the fringe. It's not even the minorities, it's the fringe, way out on the edges. We've got these people that I don't even think speak for who they say they're speaking for. They're the ones that are way out on the edge taking radical positions that don't represent the main thought of the group they say they represent, that are driving these bizarre agendas. And we've got to come together and push back against that. And they take these radical positions and they flat out lie. They've written articles about me where they say, oh, Dr. Phil has now become a safe place for right-wing haters.
Oh, I've been there.
And
I've been there.
they go down through this article and say, he had on this right-wing hater, this right-wing hater, this right-wing hater. And what they don't mention is sitting right across from them was their left-wing counterpart. They actually lie by telling half of the story because they don't want free speech, they want their speech. And so they're going to try to label me a hater and cancel me. You're going to find that a lot harder to do than you think, because I don't have the need to be loved by strangers, and I'm just going to keep coming. I don't give a shit what you say.
If you're looking for more honest and thoughtful conversations about politics instead of nonstop screaming, check out our politics playlist. And if you want to watch full interviews on a variety of topics, watch our full episode playlist, all right over here. And to get notified of all future videos, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell.